Welcome to the Music Lounge at the Stonehouse Bar. I'm your host, Alexander Morris, and this is my beautiful co-host, Miss Bianca Lauren.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. We're at the Stonehouse.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, pretty much, this is a open forum where we bring in our friends and family and guests from the music industry, from every aspect. And we just sit around and we talk and we give information, lend support to each other, and try to give a synopsis of what this music industry really is. And so, to start, on the end, we have Mr. Turhan Terrell. He is the director of the Four Tops Orchestra, singer, songwriter, producer, plays everything, even the oboe. Yeah, come on, oboe. Next to Turhan, we have the illustrious, the incomparable, Miss Nikki Tillman.
Hey.
One of the foremost background singers in the industry, Joe Cocker, and the list goes on. Next to Miss Tillman, we have the Heatmeister,
Yes.
the Marcus Divine. Yeah, Heatmeister. Is that what you want? Okay. Has worked with everybody from Destiny's Child all the way to one of his last great accomplishments as the musical director for the Millennium Tour. We're so glad to have Marcus with us.
Yes, thank you, Marcus.
We got the drum roll drummers. Smokers in the building, y'all. Arrested Development.
Arrested Development. Yes.
And then sitting right here, the beautiful,
Yes.
covered with the mask, practicing social distancing. We got Miss Cherry Black.
Cherry Black.
She's a phenomenal singer, songwriter. She is the lead background singer for Miss Katy Perry. And she's a sweetheart.
Everything tastes better with cherry.
And everything tastes better what? With a cherry on top.
Hello.
We're so glad to be here with y'all. We're filming with WJZZ Cool TV, Mr. Roger Penzambi Jr. And so, Detroit, you need to be paying attention. World, look out, we're on our way for you. So listen, our basic open topic tonight is we're talking about the music industry. So basically, welcome to the music industry. And all of these people are getting ready to share, and we're getting ready to talk. And they can say what they want to say, move how they want to move, and we're going to have a good time. So, welcome to the music industry. I'm going to start with Marcus.
Okay.
Come on, Marcus. You first on the list.
All right.
Come on, be
What's your
yourself.
view of the music industry as it pertains to how people perceive the music industry? You have a lot of young people, and even people of all age brackets, that this has been their dream. They want to do this, but they find out coming in that what they thought this was, it isn't. And they find it to be something totally different. Talk to me, bro.
I think the misconception is it's all glamorous and nobody ever really pounds into people about the hard work and about the tough skin that it takes. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Doing this so long, you hear a million no's. But if they don't become your fuel, you will definitely run out of gas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, I've heard a million no's, but it's those yeses that got me sitting here at this table today. Like, you know what I mean? If I would have gave up.
Right. Let me ask a quick question, and this goes to everybody. Like Marcus just said, he's heard a million no's. And then he said the yeses open up doors.
Yeah.
But sometimes is a yes the right yes?
Nice.
No, I mean, that's like anything. A yes could definitely could be where you should have said no. Like you should have said no.
Like you should have said no.
Not, instead of them telling you no. But that's like in anything in life, relationships. The girl could look like a yes until you get with her and you be like, no, no. You know what I mean? So I think it's the same thing in the music business. You don't know, and once you get into it, the deal they could pull up and be like, this Rolls Royce yours, this house is yours, this such and such yours, but you gotta. You know what I mean?
You gotta pay that price at the end of the day.
And then you gotta determine, is that a yes or a no for you? Nobody, I can't determine what's a yes or a no for Nick.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I may not do what Nick be willing to do. She may not do. She may not do what I want her to do.
Really? So, Nikki, what are you willing to do?
Wait a minute now.
Nikki, since we done put you all the way out there on the spot. I mean, your view of the music industry from the career that you have had and that you're still having, like, what was the preconception that you had coming into it, what we all did when we came in wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, like, oh my God, I got my first gig. I'm about to do, and then you find out that really ain't a tour bus. We in an upright.
You're right. We're an 18-passenger van.
We in 18 passenger
You
van.
driving to New York.
Yeah, well, it's like, number one, I feel like in this industry, you have to have the passion for it. Once you have the passion for what you do, some of that stuff kind of supersedes itself. It's like, I've been on tour buses that you hate, and I've been on tour buses where it's thebomb.com.
Right.
So I just think that you have to be willing to sacrifice in the beginning.
Right.
In the beginning, you have to be willing to sacrifice. The passion that comes from you will supersede all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You have to have that determination. You have to have that drive. You know what I'm saying? Everything in the beginning will not be 5-star hotel.
Right.
Don't think it will. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't for me. I started from literally the bottom and went up to that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of grind.
Right.
Grind and network.
Grind, and my network game is hell of a.
See, since you stepped in, go ahead.
Yeah.
Give us, because one thing about Turhan, he's not just been successful in the States, but lived overseas in Japan for several years.
Yeah.
Writing and producing, and with a different barrage of artists. What is your view when you talk about the music industry as it correlates against what we see in Western versus what you see over there?
Nice.
It's a big difference, man. Over there, listen, if you had a deal over there and I had a choice of a deal over here, I'll take this one over here. Because over there, they're going to dog the mess out of you.
Wow.
Their artists, up until, when I got to Japan, maybe 2 years after I got there, up until that point, the government took publishing from everybody. Nobody, bro. Nobody got publishing.
Say that again, T.
Yeah, so we talking about the 90s. Yeah, up until late 80s, early 90s, nobody got publishing. The government took it all. But there was just one writer, Tetsudo, who had 10 number ones in the top 25. And he fought. And from that point on, they won, and now they're starting to give their publishing. But their artists their artists are on a salary. I don't care how much they do. It's a $70,000 salary, and I'm talking about that's like A-list artists.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
On a salary. You can do 90,000 shows in a year. Guess how much you're gonna make that year?
$70,000.
$70,000. If you don't have that, if you don't have your team behind you and trying to get your merchandise and marketing for you, man, you can forget it.
So when you look at the music industry and like
But right, you quit. But it's for some of them, it's the love of just being able to do it, to be the celebrity. And we don't get it, because it's like, we grew up over here like, no, I know I'm supposed to be making a couple mil by now.
That's their sacrifice.
Man, woo.
that goes back to what Nikki was talking about, passion. I'll be honest. I don't know if my passion is that great that you're gonna take my publishing from me.
No. My
and I'm
passion
selling out
is not
arenas,
that
and
great.
you gonna give me $70,000. You just made $70,000 that night.
Exactly.
But you're right. They may,
that passion comes from that push when you're younger.
Right.
Let's be clear.
Right.
That's real good. That passion comes when you're younger, I believe. Right now, I got the passion, but I got my business sense at the same time.
Because where does passion meet stupidity?
There you go. You understand what I'm saying?
you.
So when you're younger, when you're in your teens and your 20s, I was out there.
Right.
I probably should have been making a whole lot more money than what I was making.
Right.
Actually. Right? Right now, though, where I am, with the business sense, the passion is there, but I'm more of the business sense now because I know what I'm worth.
Right. And that's what I was going. Cherry. Cherry's probably the youngest of us sitting here.
Yes.
But
Probably.
she's one of the probably is. But
least
she's
she
probably
was,
one of the
yeah.
foremost when it comes to background singing. And I tell her all the time, she's ahead of herself age-wise in her maturity.
Yeah, she is.
To handle the type of position that she handles, and then to handle it with the grace that she does,
Absolutely.
but it's so humble. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I love
A lot of folks couldn't be with the type of star that she's with and be the main and then not go to your head. But Cherry, how was it with you coming into the industry? Because you're kind of almost like a Cinderella story in some regards, because it was almost your first tryout and you got the big fish.
Oh, I'll get the mic. Oh, hey y'all. Yeah, it's crazy because like my first gig was Katy Perry. So I was just thinking about how you were talking about tour buses. It's like all I know is really nice tour buses. All I know is like top hotels. Like that's all I know. So
Okay.
I have been very spoiled. And it hasn't been nothing but God, because who does that? Like who
Absolutely.
their first thing is like the top,
Yeah.
one of the top
Yeah,
people, artists, and it's been crazy. Like I
That's a
definitely
blessing.
went into it a lot more relaxed than I expected myself to be.
Because you were an A-class artist.
It's weird, like, cause
Right.
and
Ain't nothing you ain't got nothing to worry about.
the audition was, well, the thing is the person I was auditioning for is somebody I had been working with in the studio on some TV stuff.
Okay.
Way before the Katy thing. And and I don't want anybody to get confused that, hey, oh, you got it because you know the MD. No. She is not that type of artist. If she don't like you, she don't like you. If she wants you, she do what she want, right? So I still had the audition, but I auditioned, I was cool. She wasn't there the first day. Second day, I walked in, shook her hand. She looked me in my eyeballs. I'm Katie. I said, oh, nice to meet you. I'm Cherry. Sang a little bit of, y'all know, y'all been on auditions. You sing 2 seconds of the song. They're like, okay. Then you sing 5 seconds of the next song. Okay. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, what? Okay. Because she wasn't there. I'm like, well, you don't want to sing no more? No. She was like, no, you're good. I was like, wow. So I walked out, and I was kind of like one of the first callbacks that day. Right. So I literally was just sitting in the other room waiting, like, okay, so, this is interesting. So I waited and waited, and I didn't have a ride. Like, listen, y'all, I flew myself to LA off my savings account. I did not have no job. I did not have no job.
Absolutely, Cherry.
And I didn't have money to rent no car when I got there. So I was like waiting on the shuttle to come from the little hotel. It was a raggedy hotel. And listen, he came down the hallway, said, the job is yours if you want it. I was speechless for a few seconds. He was like, I need a verbal yes out of your mouth. I was like, yes. I got snatched in a room with the assistant tour manager. She was like, I need to take your picture for a visa. I was like, okay. And she was like, I need your passport. And it just went on from there. It just, it was so fast. I came home for a few days, and then I moved to LA for 2 months and rehearsed, and the rest is history. It's been going ever since.
All right.
That's the dynamic that I see a lot of times with the industry. It's not a set pattern of what's fair or what works for this one may not work. But the one thing that I do know about all of us sitting here that we're about to jump with smoke is that you have to be willing to invest in you. You follow what I'm saying? You know, a lot of artists have a mentality of they're looking for somebody to believe in them enough to put their money up. But from a business perspective,
Yeah.
if you're not willing to sow or to invest in yourself,
There you go.
what makes you think
Somebody
that somebody else is going to invest in you? Smoke, you being with Arrested Development, one of the top drummers, from your position, and like I grew up in church, like most of us did. We grew up starting off playing drums or keyboards or whatever, singing at church, and it developed into something. You know, where do you see it from the standpoint when you were the kid that was watching the drummer to finally get a chance to be the drummer, to becoming the drummer?
Yes, that's good.
You know, something like that's crazy because I actually started playing drums in church, like most people. You know, there was a line of drummers,
Right.
and I was the youngest one. So of course I was the drummer. I had to wait until the preacher, you know. So I was the cymbal drummer, you know, cymbals. I was the cymbal drummer. And somehow he started preaching, and they started shouting from his preaching. And so the guy, normally I would get, you know, the other guy would, move. But I was like, no, man, I got it. Let me try it. And I did it, and that, like, you know, my elevation went up a little higher, you know what I'm saying? So it came from, you know, just being at least 7 or 8 drummers. That was the drummer. And then years later, I met these guys.
Right.
These 2 guys right here.
These
I was
guys.
14, 15 years old. So I had been a church drummer up until I met these guys.
Right.
And I was still a church drummer because we were
Right.
doing gospel music,
Yes.
you know.
Right.
But it was like, it wasn't church, it was like shows.
Right.
And they molded me. These 2 guys right here, they molded me. And I actually got the name from these 2 guys. 'Cause my name is Lamar, but they started calling me Smoke.
Right.
And it just stayed with me. And so from these 2 guys, you know, a lot of touring where we didn't have tour buses. Well, no, we would do some road shows, but there was no tour buses. It was a grind. It was a grind.
Right.
And for me, I appreciate my grind. So no matter what show I've ever done with Arrested Development, like I remember my grind in Detroit.
grind
I remember the
in
guys who made me.
Yeah.
You know, Detroit is in my heart. You know, so the forward to Arrested Development.
Move your hair up your mic.
Oh,
You good. There you go.
so the forward to Arrested Development. Those tours were pretty good. Arrested Development, they took me literally around the world. Like
Right.
I have, like my first passport was filled up, but then my second year with them,
Right.
I had to get the book passport for my second passport. But I've literally been blessed to travel 6 out of 7 continents with these guys. You know, and I'm thankful for that because I remember where I started.
Right.
You know, and
How
and
did
it-
that audition start? Where did they find you? What was that?
Now this is crazy because Arrested Development. It was a festival in Atlanta. What's the name of this festival? What's the name of this?
It don't
festival?
matter.
Yeah.
He's getting
Anyway,
old people.
yeah, it's a
Atlanta
festival.
Festival.
So
It's all right, as long as it's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They got their props.
my
Atlanta
fault. Yeah.
Festival.
So I was playing for a blues artist named Mudbone Turner, and somehow Arrested Development was the band that came on after us. I didn't understand hip hop and blues. So after that show, they asked me to come in and audition. They didn't send me the music. I wasn't prepared. They didn't send me anything until the last moment. So at that time, you know, I was with my mother-in-law here, so I couldn't focus on the music. They just did it at the last minute. So when I went to go audition, I didn't make it. But they called me to fill in for them, and I made sure I was on my A game. Made sure. Long story short, I got the gig, and I've been with them for 7 years, and you know, it's been a blessing.
It's one of those things where I think all of us can say, sitting here, preparation is everything.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marcus.
No, we don't. I was literally, that's what was in my,
That was what
in
you
my
thinking.
mouth.
Right.
Smoke said preparation is everything. And I want to say one thing, when Sherry was talking, she was saying, I don't want nobody to feel like I didn't know that they do, like just give it to her. One thing, I tell people, don't feel bad about that. Relationships is everything, and you can think hard work is everything in this business if you want to. Relationships is everything in this business, and I'll say, you gotta be a good person. That's number one. Because ain't nobody gonna gamble.
They're not gonna gamble on
You're
you.
terrible.
Yes.
They're not gonna gamble with their money
Right,
either.
that's what I mean.
They're just not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it.
You know, one thing, sing with the Four Tops, and I say this publicly all the time, that I thank my brother Turhan, because Turhan was the catalyst that brought me to that point. But one thing I recognized is that if a person puts their name up for you, it's your responsibility to make sure that
Hold that up.
you do what you need to do so that you preserve their name.
Yes, sir.
And that's the thing that I find like in the industry, and especially with a lot of younger cats that are coming up in the game from different perspectives. Do y'all seem like to y'all that people have a sense of entitlement?
Especially with
Y'all
the
know
new
me, I'm an
generation.
agitator, so y'all just gonna have to bear with me. But they have a sense of entitlement. I don't think people understand what really paying dues is. You follow what I'm saying? A lot of us, we've had to do this for a long time, unrecognized, before you
We
got it.
also didn't have the social media we got today.
True.
And we
You
all
think that changes? You think that changes the
That
dynamic
changed
too?
the game.
Absolutely.
they don't have to put the work in.
They don't have, it's quick. There you go,
So
Bianca.
for Turhan to be who he was, Turhan, and I can vouch that I'm using him as an example. We literally lived in the same house for years together.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So I know him sitting up learning this court, figuring this out, to not having somebody where he could stop the computer and learn it. Which means Turhan had to watch other people, Turhan had to be around other people, Turhan had to listen when he didn't want to. Now you got cats who don't have to listen. They can watch the video and learn. They got skills with no people
No
skills.
people skills. Yeah.
Wow. I love
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you call them and you're on a gig, I'm a different MD. If you mess up my show, you may get what you doing.
You definitely getting it from me.
I'm trying to be nice.
And let me tell you something about this one. This one here,
I grew up from
this one here has
He the lead singer. I grew up from him.
Me and this dude are standing on. We got a whole band and horn section.
Absolutely.
Now you would think lead singer, Four Tops, musical director. He's hollered at me like I'm 3, and I'm doing this.
But the MD has the right to do that.
But the thing is, if your
But that's that relationship.
No, but if your title of lead singer make you obsolete or makes you feel like
Make you feel like you should be hollered at.
You don't
There you
belong
go.
there.
Then you shouldn't be the
You
lead
know why he's
singer.
hollering?
Because he wants the best.
Because he wants the best, and that's why he's the MD.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I noticed with a lot of singers, with a lot of musicians. They love the adoration and the adulation. They love being said, "Oh, you the best." You.
Right.
But when somebody tells them that's not it,
Right.
you see a different dynamic with them. Because many of them, what you said in the beginning, 1, thick skin, 2, very easily butthurt.
Right.
They take everything personal. This is not personal.
This is not personal.
business.
This is business.
This is another thing, and I've been blessed. I've always been a creator, and they'll tell you they've been around me my whole life. I built my own first studio at 16 years old in
Yeah.
my basement.
Right.
Like I'm the dude that's gonna be like, if you don't give me, I'm
will
a
get it.
create. So that I don't run into a whole bunch of. I can't believe what they did to me. You know what I mean? But most people are not willing, as you said earlier, to invest in themselves and gamble on themselves. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's what helped make our skin tough. We had a production company at 17 years old that
Right.
we didn't care if nobody put us on. We did our
We
own
were just-
records.
We did our own.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
We were
means-
sweet to us.
We were
Yes, it was sweet to us. Yes, I love
We
that.
wasn't going around saying,
Yes.
do you think we don't? No, we give a damn if
You
you
don't
don't.
give a damn if you don't or don't.
Dude, I'm the
If you
hottest
don't,
joke in
don't.
6 blocks, dude. I'm the hottest joke in 6 blocks.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I-
Absolutely.
Dude, and that's what I'm saying. But the one thing in our generation, not saying that we all that old, but in our generation, because most of us grew up together.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cherry. Is that we had a camaraderie. amongst each other that
Oh,
was
man.
different.
Yes. So
And growing up in Detroit is a church city.
Yep.
And I would say almost 85 to 90% of your musicians, your singers that move on to do other things outside of church, most of us cut our teeth
Yep.
in church.
Absolutely.
It's a high number for sure.
You know what I'm saying? I remember going to one of the churches, and I won't mention the name of the church, but this is where they used to have a lot of the big musicals at. And I remember you had like 30 seconds to be sweet,
Yep.
or they start throwing pennies
Oh my God.
at you from the balcony. You'll be singing and hear ping, ping. That means, or if you was on the one of the musicians, and the musicians walk through the door,
Oh, you got to get up.
you got to get
Yeah,
up.
you gotta get
I
up.
watch
You gotta get up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and unplug you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to get up.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We had to learn.
Yes.
We had to learn on the fly.
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying?
I remember
But the thing
those.
about it was, with us, it didn't matter your denomination, your background, or whatever. We invested in each other because I could call Marcus
Anytime.
at any time, and Marcus come over my house, or I go over to Marcus' house. You know what I'm saying? Or running the tea somewhere, and we collab together and show each other how to do different things versus competition. My thing is, when I say welcome to the music industry, it encompasses all that. Where are we now when it comes to the competitiveness? Competition is good on one end,
Yes.
but competition can become crabs in a bucket,
Yes.
where we begin to hate on each other.
Yes.
And we begin to sabotage each other's careers
Right.
because I want that spot.
Exactly.
So where are we now as musicians, singers in our city, but even in the scheme of things when it comes to the industry? Like, where do y'all think we sit? Are we still the cats that help each other? Are we the cats now that it's all about me because I gotta set my brand?
I think it's both.
Thank you. I agree.
I think it's both. I think there are people that recognize value
Right?
in the industry, and then there are people that are immature with the value,
Okay.
and they don't know how to respond.
Okay.
You understand? And so I think that when you meet the right person, they're able to take you to the right place. When I met T, he just became my best friend.
Right.
And he showed me so many different things, talked to me about certain things. Everybody's not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think it's both. What do you guys think?
I
Yes,
don't,
you
I don't,
agree?
I don't think it's competition.
She with that look.
I don't want to talk about that.
No, I mean,
Wanna go?
no, go ahead, bro.
I don't even recognize the competition no more.
Right.
And when I say that is, it's social media, like Big Bro said the other day, a little while ago. Social media kind of did that. Like, everybody don't even know they're in competition, so you don't even see the competition like old artists still do.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the verses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You don't see, because everybody, Instagram is, oh, Sherry got a record coming out. Soon as you scroll, you go, oh, Smoke got a record coming out. I forgot Sherry had a record coming out that quick. We live in an instant world
Right.
that there is no competition. It's no, you just hope I remember your spot. It ain't really no branding that you remember.
Right.
You know what I mean? So as far as us saying, do we still help each other? Yeah, if I call you, you come through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But ain't nobody trying to build
Build
anything.
nothing.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. It's
That was part of the
no, it's no
purpose.
empire building.
All right, well, that's
Think,
part
I
of
wanna
the.
hear.
Go
I
ahead,
wanna
Nikki.
hear. Come on.
When it comes to the city of Detroit,
Speak on it.
when it comes to the city of Detroit, there is competition where there needs not to be any competition.
That's good also.
Right. You're not censored here. You say what you want to say.
Exactly. Like there's no competition here. The thing that we lack here in Detroit
Okay.
is the support, is the like, okay, for instance, Cherry. She's got to be at least 18, 15 years younger than me. However, when we ever do something together, I support her. I support her husband, but that's because I'm from a different,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm that. In Detroit, there is not a lot of support for each other, period.
Exactly.
Never has
It's a
been.
lot of
And there never has been. We need to get to a level, but you will not ever get to that level unless you enlarge your territory.
Right.
That's
Yep.
true.
You just won't get there because being and how the atmosphere is, how the environment is,
Right.
or whatever it is, we're hard on each other.
Right.
We're very hard on each other. Yeah, I want to see you come up. Hey, yeah, I'm at the gig. Oh, girl, you did good. Girl, did you see that bitch?
Exactly. Quickly.
Nah, she ain't do that run how she was supposed to do
But
it.
that's the ones that don't understand.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't get it.
That is Detroit, but we are hard on each other. The moment that we begin to see that when I uplift you,
Yeah.
that I'm actually uplifting myself.
Do you
When I uplift you,
Right.
when I uplift you, then you know what I can do is I can start getting that back.
Right.
And then it's like this big haystack.
Yeah.
It's a haystack that comes in like support and this and this. They have that in other cities. They have
Right.
that in other states. They have that in other countries.
Yeah,
I was telling, there's a young lady that has been mirroring our organization because they're doing a movie.
Oh.
And she asked me to write a synopsis, an overview of a scene for her. And so when I wrote it and I read it to her, she began to rebuttal because of her view of what Motown, Detroit, and all that is. My thing is, and I told her, I said, you have an innocence and you have an unknowing that is beautiful for what that is. I said, but I'm not the person to write this for you.
Right.
Ah, how about that one?
Right.
And she said, but I think, I said, no. I said, because what you see
Her perspective.
are perspectives.
Yes.
What I know is reality.
It's reality.
Exactly. Yeah.
This ain't what you think
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
You are enamored and in awe
Yeah.
of
Yes.
the legends, all of the
lights,
all
the glitz,
lights,
the
Lights,
glamour,
the glam.
that this is
the
and-
fantasy.
Okay, for those of us that grew up here,
Up.
Yeah, it's not that.
it's not that. What you see as, 'cause she made a statement. She was like, well, this is a positive element that came out of. I said, no, you see that as a positive. For us, that's not a positive. That's called gentrification. You follow what I'm saying? We're seeing great development, yes, but at what cost? At what expense?
Yes, come on.
You follow what I'm saying? I think a lot of times in the music industry, it's just what you said. It's a lot of times perspective. It would be very easy for someone to have art with Cherry
Yeah.
because she may not have had to necessarily
Do
go through
what I.
what we went through. So then we want to say she doesn't deserve it. But then here's the question that I ask, and any of y'all can take this. But you don't know what that person's dealt with in their life
Absolutely. What price she already
that they've
paid.
already paid
Absolutely.
that may have had nothing to do with the music industry per se, but had everything to do with the success in the industry.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it even matters.
Okay.
That's what I don't. I think we live.
Go ahead, Mark.
Come on, Mark. It's in
Go
there.
ahead.
Come on,
Come on
man.
out.
We live our life so much for other people.
We do.
Yeah.
People
And
pleasing.
How the fuck do you determine what I should have?
Right.
Right.
At the end of the day, and I mean, and I meant that fuck really. Like,
Yes,
I really
please.
meant
Yeah, I
that.
know you did.
Strongly.
Like it was so.
Yes.
How?
Accent.
No, I mean, I'm serious. Like,
Right.
and because it's
It's the
not
truth.
just even about the music business, the way I came out like this. Everything in life. Why do you even have a gauge for Cherry?
Exactly.
Like, what?
Hello.
How did you create your gauge?
Yeah, how did you
for
even do
Cherry
that? Like,
to
why?
determine what
Yeah,
she
that's it.
deserves
Right. And why
for
you
whatever
should
the
be there.
case may be. I don't
Right.
care if Cherry said, I think I'm going to sing tomorrow, and she starts singing tomorrow and be like, yo, she got a gig. Who am I to go, she don't deserve it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Then on the flip side, if your ass been doing it this long and you ain't got shit, maybe
Okay.
you should probably plan on doing something else.
That part.
Let's talk about that part.
That part, Alexander.
Let's talk about that side.
Instead
let's
of
talk about that
dealing in your
side.
bitterness,
Oh my God.
figure out why it ain't happened for you.
Yes.
Right.
I heard that. Yeah.
That's a whole lot. We could talk about that on many levels.
You said figure out why. They know why. They know what they did. They know what they didn't do. They know the times where they missed it. Where I should have did this, but I did that.
And I did
And then,
exactly.
like you said, listen, I've had an experience where somebody hugged me. I went to support my husband. He was out doing a show, and there was a lady doing a show with him, and. I had seen her. I didn't grow up here, so you all know each other in a different way. But I know her, but like we not cool. Like we don't talk on the phone, but like just like music pal. Like
Right.
I see you around, in the like band circuit, right? And I had came back to surprise my husband because I didn't think I was gonna see him before we were going to like Japan, like my first big thing, leaving the country. And I was sad because I was like, well, I'm not going to get to see him. And they flew me home. Thank you, Lord. I love that camp. They flew me home and I surprised him. They were on stage.
Surprised you fucked up. Come on.
Listen.
Let's show two.
Right.
Yeah.
That's show number 2.
Don't play.
No surprises, Mark.
And
No.
he walked off stage and gave me a hug, and I was saying hello to the people in the band. This particular band I had never sang, I don't really know them like that, but I know them enough to say hello
Yeah,
and give
yeah.
say, hey, good to see y'all. This lady, she comes and she hugs me. She's probably maybe 25 years older than me. And I always thought she was cool. So when I hugged her, I was like, oh, hey, so good to see you. Da, da, da. She hugged me. She pulled me in my ear. She said, oh, I see you. You went to LA and you came back and now you done got skinny like them skinny bees in LA, huh? And then she pulled back and said, oh, that's so good to see. And then she walked back away and I was like, what?
Wow.
Major
I
fake.
said, first of all, in my mind,
Yeah.
I've been looking the same way since I was 15.
Wow.
And since you met me, so what's going on?
Well,
Where
that's
did
because
this?
she didn't know what to say. Like when you feeling some kind of way about somebody,
Absolutely.
you don't sometimes so you don't look like an ass. You say something that make you look
Oh
like an
my
ass.
gosh! I was like, why would he say
A
that?
bigger one.
Instead of just hugging you, and I want to
Just
say
say
something.
hi.
You said something before you started explaining your story. You said they know what they did, they know what they didn't do. But let me tell you this: it ain't 90% of it ain't what you do and what you don't do. Sometimes the stars just got a line for your ass.
You just don't have
Like you can work
on,
all
Andy.
day, get up every day,
Come on,
exercise,
Andy.
go to the gym,
Come
go
on.
to the studio every day,
on.
make records every day,
Yep.
and never place nothing.
Yep.
And then you got a dude that says, "Oh, mom, can you buy me a phone?" And he get GarageBand and make a track, and the man walk in the store, be like, "What you doing, son?" "Oh, I'm on my phone." "Oh, let me hear it." "Oh, that's great. Hi, my name is Tommy Mottola. I work for such and such and such." And now your ass is on Michael Jackson record. So you're doing a song on your phone.
Yeah.
It ain't about you
It's
most
the
of the time.
alignment.
Exactly.
It's timing is
Timing
everything.
is everything.
Timing is everything. And purpose.
But the preparation is key.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
Stay
because it
prepared,
comes when you're ready.
You gotta come
When
on
the student
with
is
it.
ready, the teacher will come.
Yeah.
And when you are ready, you best believe God will align you. Because I know it in my life, we'll talk about competition and all that stuff. I know in my life when I was disobedient, and there are things that I should not have done when I should have done it. You understand what I'm saying? And I missed stuff. But when you get another opportunity to do it right and you recognize, I know what I did wrong, I'm not doing that again, and you recognize it, it's going to come back around for you, and it does. But is that because I was ready and prepared?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
ready because I recognized where I lost it before.
Yeah.
So that's another part of the story. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yes, I love that. We could talk about so much.
I'll say this. I hadn't seen Turhan in almost 25 years.
Yeah.
It had been close to 25, almost 30 years since we had seen each other.
30 years.
It's been 30 years. And I came home and I went to an event and got reconnected with Turhan. The next day, Turhan and I went into the studio. And for the next
day.
4 months, every day, we worked.
Yeah.
Those first 4 months, I never knew who he was related to.
Oh,
I never asked.
well,
I didn't know he was the musical conductor of the organization.
yeah.
Never asked, because we were focused on what we were doing.
Yeah.
But when the circumstance presented itself, Turhan gave me 39 records to learn. And this is before there was even a thought of me meeting anybody.
That's all you gave?
He gave me 39 records.
Them the ones that they do regularly.
That's all you gave him?
Now he gave me 39 records.
Yeah.
But then he did this. He gave me the copies of 2 shows. And this is where you were talking about preparation and knowing what to do, because there's preparation, but then there's also knowing how to prepare.
I want
Right.
to talk about preparation.
You follow what I'm saying? How to
Yes.
prepare. Because I'm going to say this, he gave me the greatest advice
Yes.
anybody could ever give me. Because most of us are going to take the shortcut.
You try to learn the show.
Because what we do is we will learn the show as it's formatted. They're going to go from this song to this song, this song to this song. So I'm only going to learn this verse. I'm going to learn this section. Turhan said, don't learn the show, learn the songs.
Yes.
My mind, I said, he said, listen to me, idiot. That's not what he called me, but I'm not going to say what he called me. But he said, learn the songs. He said, if you learn the songs, you automatically know the show.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
And that was the difference between me being here today and not, because one of the founding members of the Tops, Mr. Duke Fakir, love you, Duke. When I met with him, I met him one time. He got ready to leave, and then he stopped and he asked the question. He said, if we consider you for this, you do know you have a lot of songs to learn. And I said, yes, sir. I said, 3 weeks ago, Turhan gave me 39 songs. I said, to date, I've learned 27.
Wow.
Duke
Yeah,
sat
see,
down.
see.
Am I telling the truth? He sat back, and then he sat back.
Powerful.
And he said, wait a minute. He said, Turhan gave you 39 songs, as in 3-9. And in 3 weeks, you've learned 27, as in 2-7. I said, yes, sir. He started calling off song titles. I started calling off lyrics.
There you go.
The next thing he said to me was, so what you were, about a 12? Was that about a
Yeah, while
17
you
shirt?
playing
That's your man.
Am I telling the truth?
Let's get ready.
Yes.
You ready?
I didn't hear
'Cause you
anything
ready.
else.
That's
I didn't hear anything
wonderful.
else
That's wonderful.
for 3 months.
Oh my God.
I wake up one morning and there's a text message from Turhan. They're in Australia. Bro, call me as soon as you get up. I call him. He said, Duke said go to the tailor and get fitted. On the 4th of January, the next couple of weeks later, I did my first show. Mind you, first show, the first time I ever sung with the Tops was 4 hours before the first show doing sound check. But I was prepared. Sometimes it's not just preparation, but it's how to prepare.
How to prepare.
And being aligned.
And in a line, it's so true. When I prepare, a lot of people ask me, I'm from 12th and Claremont.
Right.
So a lot of people ask me, how did you ever prepare for Tina Turner? How did you prepare for Cher, Joe Cocker? And I
Y'all
have
hear
a
these names, right?
yeah. Yeah. And and these guys have been on the gigs with me. I've done a lot of different gigs, from country to pop to blues to R&B. It's not that often that a black girl,
Right. Speak on that.
it's not that often that a black girl gets to do country,
Right.
pop,
Right.
Cherry. R&B we do naturally.
Right.
If I go get a Neo gig, I go get a Monica gig or something, that comes naturally to me. Most of those harmonies are already church harmonies.
Right.
Most of those musicians are already church musicians, but how do you get those other gigs?
Right. That next level gig.
Right.
How do you get that next level gig? Well, here's the preparation for that. So what I would do is I would literally embody that person. The reason why I'm still with Cher right now, since 2008, I've been with Cher.
Longevity.
Nice.
Yeah, it's longevity. It has a lot to do with loyalty. It has a lot to do with how you are on the road, them being able to be comfortable with you. That has a lot to do with it. It's not just because you can sing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody can sing.
Anybody can sing, but if you have to do a 2-year tour, like I do with Cher, or like I do with Joe Cocker or something, you have to be more than that.
Right.
You have to be able to get along with people. You have to be able to get along with different races.
Yes.
You have to be able to get along with different religions.
Yes.
Nice. Yes.
You have to be able to get along with different political views.
Right.
All of these things will come up on a tour bus.
Yes.
How do you handle that?
Because you can't hide.
Ooh, you can't hide because the tour bus is
It's
like
only
this
so big.
hallway.
It's only this-
It's this hallway with some bunks. How do you hide from this?
Go get it at bump.
You know what I'm saying? Now, there are so many ways. And Marcus Divine, he knows we've been on the road together, so he knows there are so many ways to deal with that. Me, Marcus knows I am an open person. I love all cultures.
Right.
I can listen to all religions without being judgmental.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I can say my thing, you can say your thing. I don't want to argue back and forth, but we're all different races here, different cultures. There's bound to be some bullshit that
Right.
comes up on this bus.
Right.
Right? So you just don't have to be a good singer. You could be a good singer and be an asshole.
That part.
You could be a good musician and be an asshole.
Right.
Right? 9 times out of 10, if you're on a tour, that's going to take you up off the bus.
Immediately.
It's going to get you a window or an aisle real soon.
Hey, you catch the wrong tour, they gonna catch you in the middle seat.
Yeah.
They gonna buy it so late.
Yeah.
Oh, you going home tomorrow?
Absolutely.
They'll give you that
So
Greyhound ticket.
preparation is key.
Hold on.
I remember when I did Pink.
How about Martha won't give you nothing?
See what I'm saying? When I did Pink, I embodied Pink. When I did Tina, Lord have mercy, I embodied Tina. I went back, I researched. I didn't go back to, like when I did her, it was 2008. I didn't want to see the shows she did in 2006 or 19. I went all the way back. I studied.
Right.
When I do Cher, I am her double. I can sing exactly like Cher.
Right.
Not just my R&B church, what I do. I do a whole lot. I do rock and all that other stuff. But then when you become a backing vocalist for the artist and you are the lead singer for the backing artist, you have to embody that artist.
Exactly.
Whether that means I have to put long hair in my hair, whatever I had to do to get that.
Right.
Whatever I had to do to, I had to study music consistently to not just sound like me, but to sound like them. So there's a difference in the preparation. You know what I'm saying? And because I did so many artists, I'm also a character. I'm like a Ray Charles. I know how to jump from one thing to the other. I know how to jump from a white voice to a black voice.
Right.
There's a big difference. So in any gig you get, you have to prepare for that gig, not what you want to do, but what that artist wants from you, because you are backing that artist up.
Right.
And they want you to be able to do that.
They want you to be able to do it. And the thing is, I think a lot of times with new artists or people like when Mark was saying, you know, that have been doing it a long time and haven't, a lot of times because I think people become focused on their vision,
Their
view,
vision.
what they want. And you're not making music, or even your position that you play is not for you, but it's for the world, or it's for the artists that are working for.
Not at that time.
At
You know,
that
there
time.
comes a time
There
for
comes a
you.
time.
I was just about, I was about to
Yeah,
say,
come on,
but
yeah.
I'm
that
saying
don't
in
fit
that
as
regard.
aspect in the music business.
Okay.
Because me, I ain't never really been in the music business for nobody else, for no artist.
Right.
Every artist I've ever sung with was, oh, you want me to sing with you? Like, I never did an audition ever in my life.
I haven't either.
Like, you know what I mean?
I've
Like,
never either.
Charlie Wilson came and said, yo, you want to sing with
I
me?
never either.
I remember when Marcus got the
Come
lead
on,
gig,
MD.
and you told me, and Marcus,
that's the
I wasn't supposed to be there.
he wasn't supposed to be there, but he got the gig because he listened and gave what they asked for. They didn't ask for you to go in and show all of your running skills.
Well, they didn't ask me anything. That's what the funny thing was. I wasn't supposed to be at the rehearsal. I went with Gerald Hatton. Gerald Hatton had got me to play keys.
Right.
He said, go to rehearsal with me. I said, okay. I'm literally sitting there like this. Kern is up there. They trying to go through rehearsal, and Kern goes, come here. Come here. Sing this note. Not do you know it? Nothing. He said, sing the note. I grabbed the microphone. And Lee come in like, who's this? They like, let's Marcus the band. She's like, I like him. The next day, the guy who was supposed to be there came to rehearsal. I won't say his name because he's still my homie. He came in the rehearsal and was like, and her daddy was like, sorry, man, we don't need you.
Wow.
He protested, so they said, well, we're going to have a whole nother audition because Marcus is here. So they going through audition. Maurice Whitsett, his brother, all them in there. Aaliyah walked like, what's going on? They're like, oh, well, we have to have another audition. She said, no, we don't. I want Marcus. And the girl turned and said, well, y'all heard what she said? And made everybody leave. So my point is, it's if you looking to be a background singer, all of those things got to come into play that my sister said. But I was always in the industry, and me and T, he can tell you, was to create our own way.
Yeah. Right.
So our preparation was, we woke up, we didn't have a bar. We was our bar.
You were the bar.
You know what I mean? Like, we created our own way. So when those things came about,
right,
you actually called me because you wanted me.
And you know what?
You didn't call me to fit me in to be who you wanted. You called Marcus, like Charlie Wilson called. Hey nephew, you want to go sing with me?
Right.
I don't care.
And you know what?
Like, you know, and literally that's how.
I want to piggyback off of my brother Marcus here because it's the truth. The reason why you were talking about earlier about how do you this longevity thing.
Right.
How do you stay with a A-list gig? You know what I'm saying? For that long.
Yeah.
Don't think that you stay with an A-list gig like I have done for 10 to 12 years at a time, like 4 or 5 A-list gigs, because you're just the most incredible singer.
Right. It's your character.
I want to tell you right now,
You have to have
the reason why, and I mean, I do a lot for this gig, but the reason why I'm with Cher is because I am me. I am still that girl from Detroit, from 12th and Claremont, and when she hears me talk, she, you know what I'm saying? The things I say, she's just like,
And it's also
and it's
timing.
real. It's timing. Yes.
And
It's.
a stroke
I
of
am
luck,
who I
too,
am.
For the simple fact,
Okay, come on.
everybody can't put up with that girl from
Okay.
So you understand? So you being yourself won't work on every gig. And I throw myself on the table.
Okay,
I've lost
Marcus.
gigs, like from being me. Hell, the last gig we was on together.
Did you lose that gig?
Because they wanted to fire.
Which one?
Our other sister.
Mario or?
Yeah.
Oh.
They wanted to fire Margarita. And I'm the people person. I said, you fire her, you got to fire her too.
Oh, you did say that?
Yes.
I never said that. Now
But that's the thing.
I didn't know.
Niggas gotta eat around here. Everybody can't go home.
No, I didn't know that. I never knew that. I'm glad he's
But see, to
saying
me, I think
this.
that's a great point.
That is. I never knew that.
No judgment to you not ever say
Okay,
that.
come on, Mark.
My thing is, I feel like that's one of the things that make us mess up in this business. That is always, it's me. I got to think about me. It's got to be.
Okay.
There needs to be an unspoken union. If T on the gig, T ain't did nothing wrong, and the artists come in feeling themselves and fire T, I'm like, fuck you too, homeboy.
Oh, okay.
Because we make you good every night, my nigga.
Oh, okay.
So you can't fire T and T ain't did nothing wrong. You think again, like, you know what?
Okay.
Let me shut up. But because he fired
Okay.
T, all right, T, man.
Okay.
Be good, bro.
Okay.
And we stick around, guess what they gonna do to me next?
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Guess what they gonna do to Smoke next?
Right.
Now,
But if
I
you
can
set some
see
kind
that.
of precedent
You're right.
to be like, you can't fire because you up on the wrong side of it. There you go. One thing, and I'm gonna shut up. I ain't gonna say that.
No, I want you to.
Just as my thing is this, can't nobody determine how many gigs I'm gonna get. There's no gig worth my.
Okay, absolutely. I believe that.
For 30 free
I believe
years.
that. Absolutely.
And everybody I've ever even came across and I've lost a gig, you know what they say? Nigga, I respect you, but you don't just fall for anything.
Now, this is so new. I knew we did Clive Davis.
Because it wasn't even for me to mention
I
that.
know
But you're my brother, so I thought you would have told me that. You know my character. Like, come on, you better tell me.
Listen, y'all.
Oh my God.
Because we keep going. But listen,
Yes.
this is the reason for the Music Lounge at Stonehouse.
Yes.
Because these are the conversations
Yes.
that we're inviting the world to sit on. Because this is how we've all stayed connected, how we've stayed together,
Yes.
how iron sharpens iron.
Come on.
We make each other better. We toughen each other.
Yes.
We can hear from each other. I can call Marcus and say, I need you to sit on these vocals with me. And Marcus can tell me, okay, Al, that's flat, that's sharp. Sing this like that.
Turhan do it too.
Turhan
Yeah.
will look at me, and Turhan will hit the button and say something real ignorant and be like, okay, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to get up on top of that note because you're like, you know. But the thing about it is we make each other better, and that is the purpose, Bianca, of Music Lounge at Stonehouse. Because we're going to be inviting, you guys are going to come back,
Yes,
but we're going to be
I'm
inviting
down.
other artists and producers, and we've got managers and attorneys and from all different walks of life that'll be coming in, just going to sit down and we're just going to kick it and we're just going to talk. So I want to thank Turhan Terrell.
Yes.
I want to thank Nick Till,
Yes.
Mr. Marcus Divine,
Yes.
the drummer of drummers, Smoke, Miss Cherry Black,
Yes.
my beautiful co-host, Miss Bianca Loren.
Absolutely.
And I have to thank WJZZ and Cool TV, our leader, the helm of this ship, Mr. Roger Pizambi Jr.
Yes.
Listen, I'm Alexander Morris. This is Bianca Lauren. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week at 7 p.m. on Music Lounge at the Stonehouse. God bless.
Thank you.
That was great.
Live? We are live. We are live. Good afternoon and welcome to Motown Realty. I'm Heather Dell and I've been joined today by Jay Taylor Associates. You are tuning into WJZZ Cool TV. Also live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and all the other ones I don't even know about anymore. I always feel like I'm dating myself. So, full transparency, I'm on Jay's team, JTA.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about JTA.
Well, JTA is a real estate company in Detroit. We specialize in the actual city of Detroit, but we will do deals all over Metro Detroit. It's a beautiful area, but specifically the city of Detroit calls to me.
Yeah.
And so about 4 years ago, I started this team that was going to dive deep into all that Detroit has for real estate, commercial, residential, everything that there is. And as it grew, I realized that I was building more clients than I could handle. So I started growing my team, adding associates. Heather, you're on that team.
Well, I've talked about the seminal moment for the show was when I was just constantly approached by people. You know, I'd be out showing an investor a property and it was summer and it was hot and they'd come up and say, "Will you help me?" Nobody will help me. And then I was talking to Roger about it and I said, "Well, this might be a great opportunity to get some information out." And I like to say it's real information about real estate for real people, right? So we talk about all different kinds of things from, listener calls we'll take. We talk about the basic nomenclatures, the terms, understanding real estate. But I usually start the show with a hot area and some of our own listings. So it's no secret that the housing market is still running. I was listening to Bloomberg today, and materials and real estate are far outrunning durable goods and everything else. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that housing is a public health issue. In the time of COVID, too, people want to live in a single family residence. You know, things are booming and turning. And I actually think that the pandemic has something to do with that, particularly in the different price points and the kind of neighborhoods we work in. Like, we're not talking about mansions, we're talking about people, you, me, our friends. Like, I like to say regular people. So, what do you attribute the boom to right now, and what's your favorite neighborhood this week?
Oh, my word.
And it can't be Boston Edison.
It's not Boston Edison.
It can't be.
Why not?
Because everyone talks about Boston Edison. We'll get to that.
Well, you did say the show is called Motown Realty, and I think that Motown maybe has its heart in New Center, so I'm going to pick that area.
New Center, that is a good one.
Yeah, so New Center, I think, is a very small neighborhood. When people say New Center, they're really describing the Fisher Theater and what surrounds the Fisher Theater. But, you know, in my mind, New Center encompasses LaSalle Gardens. It encompasses Virginia Park. It encompasses Milwaukee Junction. There are these neighborhoods that are so close to New Center that when you talk about it, you can't ignore the fact that these areas are growing because of New Center's booming.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You had any deals around there lately that people might be interested in, or any particular blocks or areas of development?
Yeah. Currently, we have a duplex just off of West Grand Boulevard, which you can't get more New Center than that.
No, you can't.
However, it is maybe more like LaSalle Gardens. So when you talk about New Center and you describe LaSalle Gardens, a true Detroiter would say those are not the same area. But when you're buying this duplex, which you've been in, I believe, 2913 Montgomery.
Montgomery, yep. We talked about that the last show, yep.
You're really close at that point to being right next to the Motown Museum.
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We are going to actually take some callers today. That's not something I normally do. It's something we've kind of been aspiring to. So I want to, I think you had someone calling in on your cell phone.
Interesting. I don't know how to take a cell phone call here on this radio show.
Well, I don't either. They're supposed to call into the show, which is 313-355-6018, Motown Realty, with Jay Taylor and Heather Dell. Again, you call in with your questions about real estate. There are no dumb questions. Any question's a good question. 313-355-6018. So the fair housing issues, you know, part of what attracted me to your team was I love real estate and we all need to make money. But, oh, you know what?
We have a phone call.
Speaking of fair housing and speaking of opportunity, we have a phone call. Hi, you're on the air. This is WJZZ Cool TV, Motown Realty. Who are we talking to? Hello.
Hey, Trist, how's it going? This is Jay Taylor. I hear that you're calling in with some background in real estate. Tell me about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been shooting real estate for about 2 years, real estate photography, and I also have experience with estate sales, and so that as well.
That's interesting. Estate sales. That must be kind of interesting right now with everything that's going on. Well, we were talking about our favorite neighborhoods, and Jay was saying that if he had to pick one this week, or our hot areas, if you will. I know that's corny, but for lack of a better thing. He was talking about New Center. Where have you been doing projects lately? Where's your photography been based?
So I would say that Ferndale and Berkeley have been really hot right now in both photography and also estate sales. Also Birmingham and Auburn Hills.
Auburn Hills.
I call that the Great White North.
Yeah, that's pretty, literally and figuratively. Hashtag, are we going to get in trouble? I don't know. So have you done any work in Detroit proper lately?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the time I would say that I'm out in New Boston or Boston Edison, as well as Hazel Park area.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever done any photography in the New Center area by,
LaSalle
Fisher Theater,
Gardens.
LaSalle Gardens?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
We're
just geeking out here about that neighborhood.
I love LaSalle Gardens. I love that park. I love my mom grew up in College Park, and we lived in College Park for a while, so real fond memories.
Well, Trista, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What's your favorite home you've shot in the city of Detroit?
Ooh, favorite home? Man, I'm not sure the area, but there was definitely a house. I think it was Marston or Martin Avenue in Detroit. Loved it. Gorgeous, big, beautiful home, all mid-century furniture, just amazing.
Yeah, so you're talking about 229 Marston. I remember that one that you photographed. So that one,
yes.
That one was a fun story because as we talk about real estate in Detroit, you can't avoid the fact that you have appraisal gaps. One of the things that Detroit struggles with right now is people have not yet realize that there are legitimate home values in Detroit. And so here's this beautiful 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 3-bath home, fully renovated, state of the art. There's no reason why this home shouldn't sell for several $100,000. At the same time, when it was appraised, it came in at about $70,000 below the offer price. And I remember your photography was stunning. I remember the home buyer, he was a butterfly catcher. And he,
That's amazing.
Yeah, he really wanted this home, but the mortgage came in and just said, sorry, it's not worth what you're offering to pay for it. And it required about an extra month and a half of effort to get a lender who would give the value to that home.
Speaking of value in homes and photography and optics, how about giving us a little bit of some of our listeners and some of the people that tune in are looking to sell houses. Sometimes they don't have professional landscaping, or they don't have a lot of professional services. They do the fixing up themselves. They take care of the yard themselves. As a photographer, what you do with the camera adds a lot. But what are the best things a seller can do? What are the simplest, best things a seller can do to improve the look of the house for a photographer? Like, what would be the ideal situation when you walk in the door?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say you don't want your home to be cluttered, but you don't want it to be empty. So I think having a little bit of furniture and things like houseplants can go a long way, and it really just makes a home look cozy and livable, and I think it helps the buyer put themselves in that setting.
What about pictures, like family photos or mementos? Do you suggest that people take some of that down so somebody can kind of envision their stuff there?
Yeah, I would say that's a good suggestion. I think that having some type of art on the walls just kind of helps tie a room together, but maybe keeping it general and simplistic is better.
Okay. And talk to us about curb appeal. People, it's an old joke, right? You know, it's like curb appeal and location, 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 right? The two main rules of real estate.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true, though. And obviously, the more work you do to the exterior of your home and the more effort you put into your lawn and your garden, I think the more people are going to go, wow, that's the house I want to live in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I'm going to thank you for calling, but I'm also going to give you a chance right now to tell the world who is listening what exactly you do and how they can get a hold of you. As a person who, I think this year we're over 100 homes sold in Detroit, and I think you photographed about 50 of them. So I can vouch that you're an incredible real estate photographer, that you do amazing work. But if a person wanted to get a hold of you to either do estate sale or real estate photography, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely focus on real estate and then creative and intimate portraiture. If anyone's interested in contacting me or seeing my work, they can go to tristred.com. That's TRYSTRED.com.
tristred.com. Intimate. Does that mean like I could lay on the kitchen floor in my pajamas?
Absolutely, Melissa. Anything you want.
Thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate it. You have a great day.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. Bye now.
Bye. So that was a very awesome phone call, but it seems like right at the end of it, we got another phone call coming in.
Yeah, we got another phone call coming in.
This is Jay Taylor on the air with Heather Dell. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. Welcome to Motown Realty and WJZZ Cool TV. You have a question today?
Hey. Yes. So I have a ton of student debt, and I'm looking to buy my first house. So I'm just wondering if there are any tips or anything that I can do in order to get a loan for a house.
What an awesome question. It's fun actually to talk with people who have real problems, because this is real talk for real people in real estate.
Oh, but yeah.
Oh, my word. So
goodness.
There's another phone call coming in, but we're just going to let this one go and ignore it. So whoever's responsible for phone calls, just send that one away. Yeah. So, Kelly, your question about student debt is a really good one, because every single lender is going to ask you the same question. They're going to say, what's your income? And then what are your debts? And your student debt is one of those that will stack up right next to your home debt as a liability that they factor into your debt to income ratio. So these are real estate terms for how much a lender will give you. And so they always take the income you generate monthly. They compare that to the debt you have to service every single month. and they make a ratio. As long as your ratio is between 40 and 45%, they call you a healthy borrower. They really love to be below 40%, but there's really no easy way to get around student loan debt without it factoring into how much home you can afford. So I guess the question that I would have for you is, is there a way to lower how much your student loan debt requires you to pay monthly?
I guess I could kind of like, I forget the word, but clump them up. And
refinance or consolidate?
Does it consolidate, exactly. So I thought about consolidating to get a lower payment and lower APR and interest on it, because it's what I can afford, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I can lower it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know how anyone would lower a student debt.
Well, that's a really fun way to think about it, because you're right. You're not actually getting rid of any debt, but the lender doesn't actually care how much money is stacked up against you. And here's the fun metric. The debt to income ratio is not about the overall size of the loan. It's about how much you have to pay monthly. So if you have a car loan that is, a 2-year car loan, and so they're charging you $500 a month for it. If you can change that car loan to be a 7-year car loan, and instead of charging you $500 a month, they're only going to charge you $129 a month, you've just freed up $361.
Yeah, you do the math.
I'm bad at math. I think I missed a dollar or a zero. But you basically, if you can change how much they are going to charge you monthly, you can then add that money to how much they'll allow you to afford for your home. So in an example here, if they're charging you $1,000 a month for your student loan debt because they have you in a payment plan to pay it off in 5 years, if you stretch that out to 10 years and it lowers how much you have to pay monthly to your student loan, it frees up that same amount for your home.
It's like I sometimes tell people too, if you have, when they're saving for a down payment, if they have consumer debt, right, just credit cards, $1,000 here, $1,200 here, everything from the supermarket or a gas card or whatever, I'll encourage them, pay those down so that's not coming out of your debt to income ratio every month. And that'll, and then start working on your down payment, because as long as you've got the debt to income ratio isn't favorable, it'll be harder to get a loan. Let me ask you, Kelly, are you a doctor or in the medical profession by chance?
I am not. I'm a lawyer.
Oh, okay. You're an attorney. Okay. Because I know, as you probably know, there are doctor loans. If you're coming out of medical school, once you secure your residency after your 4th year, you can be eligible for doctor loans.
But you're coming from an industry where you probably did have to throw several extra years of college onto your student loan burden. So at that point, you would be smart to refinance your student loans with the goal of minimizing your monthly payment. And so part of that will be getting a better interest rate, and the other part of that will be stretching it out a couple years. So whatever the current plan is, if you can stretch that just a couple more years, and this is important, not that you have to pay less per month. If you know you can afford to keep paying the same amount every month and pay off your student loans just as quickly as ever, all you're really doing is making it so that on paper, the mortgage company sees that, all right, that student loan only needs $150 a month from her, and so the other money is freed up for a home loan. And when you do that, you're able to put all the money towards a home loan.
What kind of law do you practice, Kelly?
Corporate.
Oh.
My neighbor does that. It's such a cool
field.
It's
so like AMC network, cool show, baller kind of stuff.
It's hard for a woman, but it's been going well for me.
And tell me about where you're looking for a house.
Around the Detroit area.
That is awesome.
Northwest, maybe?
I haven't started looking yet, but I would love to be in proper Detroit. So University District area, that's the houses that are beautiful and I really love.
Well, you're speaking to an expert. I actually live on Wildermere in the University District. So.
Oh, well, I'm an East Sider now, so la-di-da. Although East English Village has its really great qualities. Jay kind of sold me on it. I was always a West Sider, but I have to say, it's really pretty over there.
Well, Kelly, I appreciate you calling in. I'd love to give you an opportunity to let yourself be known. Are you looking for new clients in the law field?
Not right now. I just graduated 2 years ago, so I'm still kind of getting things running.
Well, then you probably don't want to self-promote. I will say thank you so much for calling in. We have another caller that's trying to get in right now. So.
And I actually have to get a quick thank you, Kelly. Have a great day. I have a quick station ID. You are watching WJZZ Cool TV. Thanks for joining us. This is Motown Realty with Jay Taylor and Heather Dell. Yeah, I think we had another caller coming in. Hello, do we have another caller? No, okay, I guess they didn't want to talk to us. That's okay. All right, so a little bit of interesting stuff. I was hoping to, did you want to touch on the Mishta stuff today? Oh, I guess we do have a call. Hi, this is Heather. You're on the air at WJZZ Cool TV.
Hi, my name is Fozia Hawk. I'm a loan officer at Prime Lending. And I want to chime in on the Mishta topic.
Well, you are a mind reader.
I don't know how you did that. Literally before you called in, Heather said, we should transition to talking about Mishta, and all of a sudden there you are.
Well, we were on the topic of student loans and first-time buyers, and on this show, like Jay said earlier, this show started for real people, real information for real people about real estate, and Mishta is a great program. There's a ton of confusion around it. I'd love to hear your take on it because I know there's been several changes. I'm not sure what's coming up in the new administration. There's an aggressive housing plan, but for right now, I'd love it if you could give us some tips and a better understanding of the Mishta programs.
I actually love the Mishta program. It saves a lot of first-time homeowners money up front, and I love it. It just takes a little more work up front for the lender, which it doesn't kill me to do. So I love that I can help somebody get that. So it just takes a lot of patience. So Mishta was already a program that required lots of documentation, a little more detail-orientated. When COVID happened, of course, every lender became strict with their guidelines, and so did Mishta. So Mishta only did FHA programs and didn't do conventional. Finally, they have let us do Mishta, FHA, and conventional. So that's really helpful. It gives us some wiggle room to structure the loan that benefits the client. So it was just very hard to just go strictly FHA Mishta. So the second thing I want to talk about is
I'm going to interrupt you real quick, only because I get a lot of callers that say, I don't know what Mishta is, or can you? So Michigan State Housing Development Authority, you can go to mishta.gov for information about these programs. I just like to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. When we talk about FHA, we've discussed that before. FHA loans are terrific. But if you can also qualify for conventional, sometimes it gives you more buying power, more negotiating power. We can get into that at a different time, but just want to clarify that. So thank you so much as I stepped on you.
Absolutely right. So, yes, giving us a little more opportunity, a lot more wiggle room. So when COVID happened, the required credit score became 640. Now it went down with our company, Prime Lending. It went down to 620. So that helps a lot. That's just a whole, a large portion of the market. And another thing that really, really helped is Mishta usually takes a long time, but when it was COVID, everything was moving very slow. I'm saying 7 to 10 days, and that takes up a week out of the contract. So now they have gotten their process a little more efficient. So now their underwriting is taking 2 to 3 days. So you'll notice before in the summer, Mishta was taking a long time and you'd always need an extension on the contract. But now just know it takes a long time, but you're not going to see weird 2-day delay. 2-week delays on these.
Now, Fo, help me if I'm saying this correctly. The Mishta program over the years has changed based on administration, based on what's available, based on the market. But currently, MSHDA is a $7,500 like loan that they tack on to your home purchase, but it's used by the buyer to subsidize closing costs or down payment assistance. What is it used for?
Oh my gosh, good question. A lot of people think it's forgivable. It is non-forgivable. You do have to pay that back when you sell the house. And it's only for the down payment. It's not for the closing costs. So let's say your down payment is only $5,000. MSHDA will only give you $5,000, and the rest you don't need.
So in a world where a person might want to buy a home, but their credit is rough, and in a world where the same person doesn't have a lot saved up for their down payment, and they have tastes that are larger than their wallet. In this world,
you're describing a very real world
a real
situation.
world situation. I love the questions people tell me. I would like to buy this home for this dollar, and I'm like, well, awesome. Let's
yeah,
get
I
you
want
in
a
it.
pony too.
And then you look at their income, you're like, well, you can only afford half of that home. You can only afford the garage. But in this world where people want more than they can afford, the MSHDA program seems to be a great fit because for just a couple more days added to the loan process, there's somebody out there that will give them $7,500 going towards a down payment. They could also ask the seller to contribute towards their closing costs, and they could effectively buy a home with $0 out of their pocket on closing day. Is this correct?
Correct. That happens often.
That's incredible.
Yep. When you need a really good experienced realtor to negotiate those seller's concessions, then I actually had a client who walked out with $200. Like we paid them.
I love that.
You paid them to buy a house. That's incredible.
That's fantastic.
Where on earth would a person find a realtor this skilled?
Oh, I know a person of the name Jay Taylor.
Does Jay Taylor run a team called Jay Taylor and Associates? Is that who you're talking about?
That sounds very familiar. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think one of his favorite associates is Heather Dell, sitting across the table from him.
We know Prime Lending. You're with Prime Lending, but just for the listeners too, if they wanted to find, we're going to ask you for your contact information if you'd like to give it out. But if they wanted to find you, can't they go to MSHDA.gov and you'd be listed as one of the lenders?
That's correct. I am an approved lender, so I do so many MSHDA a year that I'm always available on that website.
Okay, because people will ask me, they'll say, well, I don't know what to do. I said, go to the website, click through, give them a call, introduce yourself, and just start the relationship. Get your paperwork together, last 3 years of tax returns. If you're a 1099, like all the hapless realtors, make sure you're really organized and give these people a call.
Well, and it seems to me like we just had a phone call before you called in of a attorney named Kelly who maybe she could use you. So hopefully, Kelly, you're still listening. And I would recommend that you reach out to Fo. Fo, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Call me, text me anytime. My number is 313-600-2200. It's really easy.
That's like a great business number right there.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for calling in.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah, we'll have you back. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Super helpful.
Yeah, that's incredibly great information.
Yeah, I get questions about that a lot. People are very intimidated, but shouldn't be intimidated. And what interesting to do about MSHDA is the income qualifications. I think a lot of people assume that it's you have to have a very low income level, but that's not the case at all. It is impressively high. So don't ever hesitate to look at those programs and take advantage of them. I mean, we all pay into them. It's part of the state and our budgets and what we do. So that's something you should definitely take advantage of. Back on track. Great, all these calls. I love all these calls. Maybe we'll get another call. You're listening and watching WJZZ Cool TV with Jay Taylor and Heather Dell. We call it Motown Realty. It's real information about real estate for real people. If you'd like to give us a call, we would love to hear from you. 313-355-6018. Jay, we were talking about land bank properties, auction properties. You got a lot of experience with this. I mean, I've touched on it with people. There seems to be this idea that you buy something for $4,000 and you put 20 into it and you sell it for 90, and it's got a clear title and everything's good and there's no chance it's on the demo list. But I think we all know that's not the case. I've actually sold properties that were on the demo list. So, in your experience, if somebody wants to start with the land bank, if somebody wants to buy at auction, what's your best suggestion for staying out of trouble? Maybe we could all learn from my mistakes and your mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I recently had a conversation with somebody about my mistakes and how they're my favorite learning moments, because every mistake I've made, I make a point to learn from. And so as you talk about land bank, I will say the very first piece of advice I'd give you is maybe don't buy off the land bank. Because if it's your first purchase, you're basically entering in at master course, because the land bank is fraught with every difficulty that can be thrown at you. I did that. It was my very first investment purchase, was a land bank $1,000 home, and nothing is more attractive than a $1,000 home.
Right?
So you buy it for $1,000, and then there's some closing costs thrown in there. But once you own the home, there's just a bunch of stuff you discover. And if you're not a professional, if you're not a long-term investor, and you've crossed all of these minefields, what you don't know is that the land bank has homes that have had their water and sewer lines crushed because they're on the dangerous buildings list. You'll find homes that are on the demolition list. You'll find homes that, though they are given to you in what's called a foreclosure deed, which should have every last lien and encumbrance removed from the title, I guarantee you the land bank will sell it to you on a quitclaim deed. And then when you try to resell that, a title company will say, well, we can't accept this, and you have to then go through a quiet title action, which is a lawsuit with the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit and Wayne County, and basically everybody who's ever had their hands on this property. I've had people who purchase things from foreclosure auctions and from the land bank and then find out that there's still a $35,000 loan attached to that home that never got professionally cleared.
It can go back. A good title company goes back 25 years. Yeah. There can be an interest or a lien from, it's not like it's recent.
No, it can be old, it can be archaic, but it can still come back to haunt you. So the very first home I ever bought from the land bank was a $1,300 closing day, and roughly $60,000. And 2 years later, I finally had that building free and clear, and I was able to sell it. And I did sell it for a profit. You know, I had rented it for almost 2 years in that time, and I sold it for like $90,000. So there was still plenty of profit with a lot of residual income during the 2 years I held it. It wasn't without gain, but it was the longest and hardest fought income I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
and
when it was all done, you probably made 30 cents an hour based on your time.
Pretty much. I remember the biggest problem I ran into was around the utilities. One of the land bank requirements when you buy anything from them is that within 6 months you have cleared debris, you have secured the building, you have restored utilities, and you've brought it to a certificate of occupancy status. And I had done all of those, but when I tried to turn the water on, the city of Detroit said, oh, we noticed that home got added to what's called the dangerous buildings list. It was built before 1929. It has a lead service line. This is shortly after the lead crisis over there in Flint, and so everyone's a little bit scared of lead service lines, right? So the city of Detroit said, until you have resolved this lead service line, we won't restore your water to the property. And when I called a licensed plumber to come and do that, they said, well, the lead service line goes all the way to the other side of the street. So the only way to restore water was for me to rip up the city street, which would require the city to do a 3-day permit where they would close the street. I'd have to pay for the complete demolition of the street and rebuilding of it just to lay down my water line. And I said, well, isn't the water line after my house city property? They said, well, once we've put it on the dangerous buildings list and the demolition list, and by you accepting the home off of that list, you are now accepting the responsibility of the line. We crushed it. We didn't want this house anymore, and you're saying you want it. These are things they don't tell you when you buy it off the list. And so now as I would, look back on this, it was maybe 3 or 4 different plumbers and lots of different arguments with the city. I found myself down there at the B seed building, fighting with everybody, trying to like just get water restored to the home.
That is actually really interesting. B seed is a lot of people don't even understand what that entity is.
Buildings and safety.
Yeah, and they often don't understand that one department in the city doesn't talk to the other department in the city. It's kind of like a bad marriage, right? So they could sell you a house that's on the demo list, and they'll sell it to you anyway. And then you say, "Well, wait a minute, why'd you sell it to me if it's on the demo list?" And they say, so there's the buyer beware could not be more important when it comes to these houses.
And these are things you learn, and it's not without disclosure. The land bank is very upfront. Is
yeah,
the
but
water...
who reads all that stuff? Come on, man. It's like your Apple agreement when you download an app. It's 17 pages and you click agree.
Correct. And that's what happened. So I can tell you right now, I ended up finding a technology that could burrow the line under the street without ripping it up. So for $9,000 instead of $16,000, I was able to restore a non-lead service line to this home. And it actually is kind of a pat on the back moment where you have brought a home that was on the dangerous buildings list, on the demolition list, and slated for removal from existence. And it is now this beautiful brick duplex with an attached side lot with 2 units and tenants. And it's beautiful to watch, but it was not without a lot of headache. And I'll tell you right now, I could have easily walked out and bought any duplex in the city for $65,000 that would have already been tenanted. And in 2 years, it would have been worth the $85,000, $90,000 I sold it for. So I could have taken the same amount of money with none of the time and none of the effort and had the exact same return. So when a person says, can I make a quick buck off the land bank, I will say, it's not a bad idea, but I can get you a better investment.
Yeah, that's I would have to say it's been a steep learning curve for me too, because it all sounds so simple, and you deal with investors that come forward with portfolios that they want to sell, and then you find out that there is no release and that the title is bad. So I mean, in general, I think for a first-time home buyer, you're better off just, and I know this sounds self-serving, but it's just the truth, you're better off with a realtor. You can call us at J. Taylor and Associates anytime. Getting yourself established with your first home, either through a MSHA loan like we've talked about. We've also talked about the options of land contracts, because messing around with the auctions and the land banks, and it can just be really, really problematic. So once you get your your proverbial sea legs, and you maybe want to start to buy some properties, that's when you can start to explore these things.
You just mentioned land contracts. I'd love to dive a little bit into that.
I love land contracts.
So what's another term for land contract that you've heard?
Seller financing.
And there's probably a few more.
Well, land contract and seller financing are what I generally...
Have you heard of rent to own?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so what I love is when people call me and they want a rent to own option. And I tell them, are you referring to a land contract? And they say, aren't they the same thing? And I have to explain to them some of the nuances and differences. And this is a moment where I'm just going to elaborate very briefly.
No, please do. Because a lot of people don't understand rent to own versus a land contract. Please do elaborate. This is something I get a lot of questions about.
And there's one more called rent with option to buy, or lease with option to buy, and all three are different. So when you do a land contract, you are actually putting yourself on the title of the property. You are now on title, and you have all the rights of a person on title. When you do a rent to own, you are a tenant until some point where the state decided that you own enough of the home, and I think it's at 50% equity, that you are now considered the owner of the home. And a lot of rent to own contracts might not have that day come for 10 years, 15 years into the future. So for 15 years, though you are purchasing the home, you are considered by the state a tenant. And tenants' rights are within 30 days, they can evict you. And that's a terrible place to be when you're putting equity into the home.
Yes, and you can't draw on it.
You can't draw on it. Meanwhile, when you have a land contract, the moment you've signed that and you put the money down, you are now on title. You are afforded all the rights of an owner. You no longer can be evicted in 30 days. You have the 6 months right of redemption. You have all the rights of an owner. So I would say in that minefield of seller financing, the most secure and safe one is a land contract. It puts you in the owner's seat. It allows you to then at any time sell it and pay off the land contract balance and net the difference. I've got a lot of clients who bought on land contract 3 years ago, 2 years into it, sold it and made all the profit, and they never once had to speak to a bank.
Yeah. Well, and that's, from the seller side too, land contract is really interesting because you're helping someone get into a home. And for a myriad of reasons, maybe they've got tons of student debt or who knows, you're helping them get into a home and break the rental cycle and start to build equity and have a place to call their own. But typically those buyers, in my experience, I don't know if you find this, they're happy to offer more. They're real happy to say, hey, if you're willing to sell or finance me, we'll go at asking or a couple thousand over. And then with the interest, the seller can actually come out quite a bit ahead on this. So it's a win-win for sure if you don't need the proceeds immediately from the sale of the house. But
I've been able to convince sellers to accept a land contract when I show them the numbers,
Yeah.
that if their home wasn't selling at the $200,000 asking price, and we offered it on land contract and a person was willing to pay $200, so all of a sudden they're getting more than what the market was bringing to their home, and that $200 over the next 10 years was actually going to be $258. They're in essence collecting $258 for a home that wasn't even worth $200 to begin with.
And they're still getting usually 20% down at closing or 25% down at closing. So the seller's still walking away depending on the closing costs, which of course we can help with. We can do a seller net sheet, that kind of thing. But land contract is a terrific option. And I actually have a woman, I keep referring to her, but she's amazing. She's starting her residency at St. John's Hospital, and we got her into a land contract. It was great for the seller. The seller was having a heck of a time getting rid of the house for the price they needed to get. She was in for 6 months, qualified for her doctor loan, paid that off, and it was a win-win. Now she's got the house, the seller got out from underneath the house. It was a win-win. So that's something that I think you always want to talk to your realtor about that, but as a seller, it's a great option. I always bring that up. If you don't need the proceeds, think about doing seller financing. And correct me if I'm wrong, the actual deed is held in escrow.
That is correct. So if for any reason the person defaults on the payment or needs to get out from underneath it, you can actually get them to sign a release of their interest and ownership in the home. The deed will get removed from escrow and given back to you. The best part about this is you get to keep the down payment, keep all the money they've done up until then, and at the end, you walk away with all of that equity and you still own the home.
I think we have a call.
All right, so this is Jay Taylor on the air with Heather Dell. Who do we have on the line?
Hey, Jay, Matt Shoneke with John Adams Mortgage. How are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing well. It's good to hear your voice.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
I appreciate you calling in. We were actually just discussing seller financing and land contracts. I know there was a day where lenders were actually writing land contracts. Is that still a thing you do?
That's crazy.
No, unfortunately, not anymore. No.
I remember that was a really weird day where there was an actual financing arm doing seller financing, which just didn't make any sense to me. But talk to me right now, Matt. You're in the loan industry, so how is this current climate? We'll call it the COVID pandemic, the uncertainty of the election, the transfer of power, everything that's going on in our world today. How is that affecting your world?
It kind of feels, I feel like Chicken Little a little bit, like the sky is falling. But still, people are getting money for houses and interest rates are low.
They are. There is an upside to it. That is that, like you said, interest rates are still incredibly low. Money is cheap to borrow right now. You're able to buy more of a house right now than you could have a year ago.
And I'm gonna interrupt you for 1 second because a lot of our listeners, a lot of the people that we work with, don't really understand the benefits of using someone else's money. And I've dealt with net worths that are exorbitant, and I learned the hard way. I always thought, do this and do that, but the borrowing power that you can help somebody get, they're much better off doing that, using someone else's money with a low interest rate. So maybe explain to us a little bit how that works per annum, so someone can kind of understand the benefits of taking advantage of this now. I don't think a lot of people quite understand when it comes to their credit cards, maybe, well, because they hammer it home to us. But if you're renting for $1,000 a month, and you can manage, you're working with a realtor like Jay or like myself, we come to you and we say, okay, this is how much people that work backwards from this is what I can pay per month. Maybe talk about the benefits of capturing this interest rate now and how even just a minuscule, when it starts to go up, how that can affect the long-term payments.
Sure. No, absolutely. So, I mean, there really is a tremendous opportunity right now, especially if you're renting, to get into something where you could afford a house that's probably much nicer, valued much higher than the place you're renting, and actually cost you less money per month than what you're paying now in rent.
Yeah, say that again, please.
Sure.
Because people don't take our word for it.
Right now, because of interest rates being as low as they are, that is nicer than the house they're probably renting, and it actually costs them less money per month. And there are programs out there, MISHDA, VA, things like that allow you to get into these homes with sometimes as little as no money down.
So let me get this straight. If a person is paying $1,000 a month rent today, and we all know that there's really nowhere to go but up with interest rates right now.
Yes.
And I say that knowing that we're still at 2 or 3%. And I just spoke to my current London client who said that they're at 0.5%. So
but that's bordering on subprime.
That's
scary.
Go lower, but I would just say the likelihood of that is very low. And what's going to happen now is interest rates will climb from this historic low to 4%, maybe to 5%, as high as 7% we've seen in a healthy economy. So $1,000 today can afford how much home, and how much would that same $1,000 afford if interest rates were up at 6%?
So let's just do an example. Let's say $150,000 house, okay? And if we did something with, let's go extreme and say we did no money down. We're looking at a MISHDA program, which has a higher interest rate at 3.875%. And we plug in some money for taxes. You could probably still get into a $150,000 house for right around $1,000 a month with little to no money out of pocket.
And that's I think there's a lot of fear too from the subprime, the tank in 2008. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're buying more house than you can afford, right?
No, especially with these programs like MISHDA, they have a lower debt-to-income ratio. They're designed to make sure that you're not overextending yourself. So there really are a lot of safeguards in place so that you can't get in trouble, so that we don't recreate the past and put people in a situation where they're eventually going to lose the house.
Well, and in 2008, in that crash, correct me if I'm wrong, they were handing out loans to people who didn't have to verify their income.
It's terrifying.
They
it's
were.
Like getting a credit card at
Unfortunately,
TJ Maxx.
There was, everybody, whether it was the lenders, the banks, everybody that was packaging these loans, they just really, it's not that the guidelines weren't there. It's just that nobody was really following them or paying attention because there were no repercussions. Nobody was double checking. Now they are.
And so if a person's sitting there saying, I'm seeing all the writing on the wall that we're going to have the same crash we had back in 2008, they're not looking at the right signs, because the signs back then were illegitimate lending, not overspending. You can get out of an overspending without having the entire economy collapse around you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a very, very difficult lesson was learned back in 2008 that, things haven't really, they've loosened up from, the immediate aftermath, but there's still, there's strict guidelines in place, and especially now with COVID, dealing with a pandemic, they've even tightened up some of the guidelines. So it's very difficult to get in a situation where you're going to get a house that you really can't afford.
And speaking of not being able to afford it, back to the last conversation, if you had $1,000 today, you're saying with a MISHDA program with no money out of pocket, you could walk right into a $150,000 home. If next year a person chose not to jump on that, and next year the interest rates are at 5.5%, a whole 2% higher, what's their buying power become? Could they still afford a $150,000 home?
No, you're going to see that drop to $120,000, something like that. So
they've lost 30 to 50% of what they could afford.
Absolutely. So time. It's just like in real estate. Location. Timing plays a big part of it, right? And there's a window right now with rates being as low as they are, where you can kind of really maximize your buying power, and that's really exciting from our standpoint because we're seeing a lot of people taking advantage of this to kind of move up to a better house or a nicer home, their dream home in some cases, and it's great. It's exciting to see.
I love that. And speaking of location, by the way, you're listening to WJZZ Cool TV, Motown Realty with Jay Taylor and Heather Dell. You want to expand on that some more, or can I ask another question?
No, please go ahead. Ask a question.
I think we take it for granted sometimes that people just know what to do or steps to get started. If you're a first-time buyer and you don't have a lot of experience with your credit, et cetera, what is the punch list that you would recommend before they call? Just the most fundamental punch list. Like, where should their credit be? How much money should they have? Their debt-to-income ratio, et cetera, et cetera.
We can do loans with as little as a 620 credit score. Ideally, a 640 or better is going to help you because it's going to open up some more programs for you. MISHDA, for an example, is one of those programs you need a 640 credit score or higher. Okay. But 620 minimum to go FHA. VA, if you're a veteran, there technically isn't a minimum credit score. We're looking more at credit history. But again, same guidelines, really 620 to 640 range or higher. We're really looking, the first step to get somebody on that path towards buying a new house is to get them pre-approved. And what we're looking when we do a pre-approval is we're looking at the credit, we're looking at the income, we're looking at their liabilities, and then we're backing into an amount that they can afford.
Do you mind just briefly touching on the difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval? A lot of buyers come to me with a pre-qual thinking that they're all set to go.
Yeah, so a pre-qualification is really just, it can be done with just a simple phone call where, how much money do you make? You tell me you make X amount of dollars. You tell me your credit score is this. Okay, if everything you told me is true, then yes, you should qualify for this amount of money. That's a pre-qualification. A pre-approval, we're going to go one step further, and we're going to actually gather your financials. We're going to check your credit, and then we're going to take a full application and run that through either Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac's automated underwriting engine to make sure that we get an approval, to make sure we've verified the income, we've verified the assets, so that when you go shopping for a house, you find that dream home, we're not going to come back and say, your income is a little different than what you told us. Sorry, you don't qualify anymore. We know at that point how much you're going to qualify for. We can even take it one step further than that. We have a program we call our Good to Go program. And it's where we take all that information from that pre-approval and we actually send it to underwriting. And we have an actual underwriter underwrite the file and issue a preliminary approval on it subject to you finding a house. And that's really as far as we can go at that point. I mean, we've done everything we can to ensure that when you do find that house, we know you're going to be good to go.
Well, I'm going to pause you and say there's something so powerful about that statement, because as a realtor who has brought offers on homes in competitive situations, when you're looking at the 3 or 4 offers or 17 offers that might land on a really competitive home in Ferndale or a beautiful home that hit the market in New Center, you have to decide which offer are you going to take. And if the realtor is able to say, hey, what I'm holding here isn't just a pre-qualification where they told me and I believed them how much they earn. It isn't even a pre-approval where we've run it basically through a metric and it looks good, but we haven't yet sent it to underwriting. No, this thing is already back. And the only thing this file needs is a home that has passed inspection and it will close. That means, it's shortened the window from a 40 to 60 day closing period down to a 21. And it's shortened that risk that a seller assumes when they take the offer that A, the person may not qualify for the loan, or B, that their situation might change in that 60 days. Because especially in COVID, people are losing jobs halfway through the mortgage process and the whole thing falls apart.
Right. No, it's fantastic. We're starting to see more and more requests for that type of pre-approval, especially now where we're in a situation where there's multiple offers, there's less inventory, it's more competitive. To be able to come into an offer situation with that pre-approval letter saying that you've already been through underwriting is priceless.
Well, Matt, I want to also just do one more final note with you, and that is you described a pre-qualification versus a pre-approval and the importance of getting past that pre-qual stage to the pre-approval. I'm going to use a personal story that was actually with you, and without sharing too many personal details of myself, when we first talked, on just like a rough pass, 6-figure income, stable job, been in it for 4 years, like there's no reason why I shouldn't qualify for a really great mortgage. And then when we actually ran backwards and used the actual 2 years of tax transcripts and actual liabilities, and because I run a business and all that business handles all of my expenses and all my losses, when I actually was on paper and went through your underwriting, you're like, Jay, not only can you not afford that home you want, you actually can't afford the homes you currently own. Yeah. And,
I know, it's so depressing, isn't it, after you do all your P&L?
And so it'd be a shame for a realtor and a client to take a pre-qualification, which says, I think I'm good. My loan guy told me that what I told him makes me look good. And then, you spend 3 months bidding on homes, you find the home of your dreams, you get accepted, and, 3 or 4 days into the home buying process, after you've been shopping for 4 months with this realtor and spending so many weekends and nights, you're finally ready to buy, and the mortgage officer runs your paperwork through their actual underwriting to find out that you can't buy it. It would just be like the worst blow to everyone involved. The loan officer who's been waiting for this loan, the realtor who's been shopping all this time, and then the home buyer who thought they'd have a home in 30 days.
Yeah, no, it's horrible, and to be the one that has to deliver that news, I don't want to do that to anybody.
Have you ever been shot as the messenger?
Death threats?
It's been close, let me tell you. So, that's why we really stress that pre-approval, because you can mitigate all these issues. What would you rather do? Go through that heartbreak, or, hey, if I tell you through a pre-approval, hey, we can't get you there yet, but just do these 2 or 3 things, and we're going to get you there in a couple months. I'd much rather have that conversation, know what I need to fix, than the disappointment of not taking the time to do the correct pre-approval up front.
Well, Matt, I really appreciate that you called in. I would love for anyone who's listening to you and hearing your expertise know how to reach out to you. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you, Matt?
Yeah, my best way, telephone is always great, 248-895-2062. Email is just Matt, M-A-T-T, at johnadamsmortgage.com.
Thanks, Matt. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
JohnAdamsMortgage.com. Thanks so much for calling in. We appreciate all your expertise.
Oh, thanks, guys. You guys have a great day.
You too. Well, gosh, we're coming to the end of the show. We're wrapping up here. We didn't even get to half the stuff we wanted to talk about. We had some great callers.
Those pesky little callers.
I know. It was a lot of fun. Next week, I'd love to know what you want to know about. So you still have a minute to call us at 313-355-6018. We don't have time to talk, but if you want to give us a ring and ask us, give us a subject next week that you'd like to cover. We're definitely going to talk about inspections, the importance of home inspections. We're going to talk about importance of sewer inspections, differences between VA requirements and pests and termites and all that kind of stuff. And
I'd like to touch base on for sale by owners. I feel like there's a lot of people who listen to these real estate shows. No, but there's a lot of people who listen to these real estate shows hoping to glean the information they need to then not hire a realtor. And I would love for, honestly, I think we might just cold call 5 or 6 FSBOs.
You want to do it on the phone live?
Do it live on the phone.
They get so mad.
Just have conversations with, hey, you're on the air. But no, honestly, it'd be a conversation about what are the pitfalls that a FSBO seller will encounter every time, regardless, and then why is it worth hiring a realtor? Because I think there's a lot of people who listen to these shows assuming that we're not worth the commission payment that we receive, and yet you can watch over and over again, statistically proven over the course of a million home sales a year, why a person should spend the 6% on a good realtor.
Yeah, and I've also explained how it works. A lot of people don't understand how it works. They just assume that everybody in the party walks away with 6% of the sale price. So that's all the time we have today. We will see you next week at 4 o'clock. Jay Taylor and Heather Dell on Motown Realty, WJZZ Cool TV. Thanks for tuning in.
Adios.
Oh my God, that was so much fun.
Look how much faster that went.
Oh my God.